Adelaide superstars, Peps and Jdog. Round 6 is in the books. That means we're going to be reviewing each and every single club tonight on the number one AFL podcast this side of the Westgate Bridge. Lace out, tell you want your footy. We are excited. Cracking week of footy. We're going to get in all the nitty-gritty, but before we do, we have to welcome the co-host with the most. Jdog, how are you, big boy? Bit disappointing your mob on the weekend, the Port Adelaide Pow. Besides that, thoughts of the footy?
It was a pretty good round. I think it's I think the move has moved and the shake has shaked.
I reckon that's a really nice way of putting it. By the way, if anyone noticed, we're doing our tips a little bit differently. It's quite easy to pick a winner, so we've decided to pick the losers. And interestingly enough, Jdog, after about the first 5 rounds, I didn't pick one loser.
You did the reverse.
I did the reverse. So we're going to continue with that. So if you like it, fantastic. If you're loving everything that we're doing, make sure that you like, subscribe, ring the bell, tell your cousins, your auntie, your mum, everybody about how good we are, because the more people that we subscribe to, the more people get to see us, and it just means the AFL world is a better place to be. All right, big dog. It's going to be a massive show tonight. So what we're going to be doing is getting straight into it. Going to be banging up the ladder. Let's have a look at this right now. Make it a bit bigger for everybody to see. Rightio, the ladder. Looking at it right now. Geelong Cats have not lost a game, sitting on top of the ladder. Sydney Swans, GWS and Carlton sitting there on 20 points. Port Adelaide and the D's on 16, as well as Essendon. Western Bulldogs rounding out the top 8. Then you have Fremantle, Collingwood, and the Gold Coast Suns also on 12 points. Brisbane Lions, St Kilda, West Coast Eagles are flying. They're up to 14th on the ladder. You've got Adelaide, Richmond, and Hawthorn with 1 win apiece. And the North Melbourne Kangaroos, who just don't look like they're going to get close to a win. I think I'd rather shit in my hands and clap. They are sitting in 18th position at the moment. Jdog, how are things looking from your perspective? What do you reckon? What do you think?
I've always enjoyed that saying. I'd rather shit my hands and clap. I heard that last year for the first time, and it's a ripper. It's a ripper, and that's exactly that is. As a North supporter, as a North fan, if you were one of those, you probably would be looking at that right now. But as we know, Peps, a week is a long time in football. And only 2 weeks ago, we were having the conversations about Essendon. We've had the conversations on Thursday about Western Bulldogs, North Melbourne. The tide will turn eventually.
Yep. So I think that there's lots to like about this ladder. We're only 7 rounds in, 6 if you don't count round 0. But everyone has played 6 games. So that's why we're going to be doing our quarter review of the first, the first 6 games. Have a bit of a look at it. We'll rank them. And if you like it, great. If you don't like it, sweet. We want to hear exactly what you think too. But we'll get into a bit of the movers and the shakers as well too. Some teams that we thought were going to win on the weekend completely didn't. And there were teams that we thought they were actually going to lose quite significantly, came out and won. So it's quite a surprising round of football. But you know what? That is what it's all about. And that is why we love the great game that is AFL footy. Rightio, big boy. One of the things that we promised that we were going to do is get into the 18 teams. So far, we've had, like I said, every team so far has played 6 games. So what we're going to do is we are going to rank what we think how each team is going so far in the 2024 season. So how we're going to do this is we're going to have a beautiful little tier list that we're going to put everything together. Just going to try and find the way that we look. Do you like it that way, Jdog, or do you like it that way?
Let's go our heads on top.
Heads on top. You like being on top, Jdog? Oh,
there we go.
Well, too. Rightio. So what we're going to do is we're going to rank how we think just each club is going by visuals. We might throw some stats in there, but keep it very, very high level. And we're basically breaking it down to 4 tiers. The first one is don't book September holidays. So we think that they are, at this moment in time, a shoo-in for September action. Hold! You've got to do that in a Braveheart voice. If you think, well, they're not just there, but we just have to sort of wait and see where they're going. We've then got the friend zone because they don't deserve to be playing finals, but they don't deserve to be booking their end-of-season trip. And if you think they've absolutely got no hope in hell of making any march towards finals, they've got no hope of getting into the friend zone, well, we might as well start packing for Vegas right now. So, Jdog, let's get this one going. I reckon we're going to start nice and easily with the Adelaide Crows. Adelaide, would you have to say have been one of the most disappointing teams to kick this season off so far? They've only won one game throughout the season. They've lost 3 at home. Mind you, they have played, I think, 4 teams in the top 8 so far. So they haven't had the easiest draw like some of the others that they've had. But they've been very, very disappointing, and I can't see them absolutely making finals whatsoever.
Yeah, Adelaide's been okay. They've had a tough run. Obviously not as good as last year, but Adelaide's always a dangerous team. So I'm not as dirty on Adelaide as I am on other teams.
Yep.
But I still think that they are packing for Vegas.
They're packing for Vegas. They are packing for Vegas. Look, outside of Matt Crouch and a couple others, they've been okay, but we have to put them into packing for Vegas. So they are in and they are ready to rock. All right, Brisbane Lions, very, very disappointing start to the season. Who would have thought that this club, who did not lose a game at all last year at the home of football, were going to have an absolute Barry Crocker start to the season? Very, very disappointing on all facets. They are a shell of themselves at the moment. There's not really anything you can say about the Lions. They had a great win against the D's last week and then turned up on the weekend.
Well, it was monsoonal up there, but...
Well, it wasn't monsoonal, but it was almost like as soon as the ball went to ground, their smaller players didn't do anything. Yeah. The big players didn't do anything, and Geelong just ran over the top of them.
Oh, yeah, 100%. Look, Peps, it's a hell of a drop. It's a hell of a drop of where they were from last year. I know that's stating the bleeding obvious, being that they were, let's call it, the best part of 5 minutes away from a grand final win. To now be where they are and have not won, as you said, a game up at the ground that was you couldn't beat them up there.
No, you couldn't. And that's my massive concern is that they are a quarter of the season in. They don't look like their best is sensational. But what we saw last week was just like, well, not last week, but the week before against the D's. And here we go. And then they serve that up at their home ground. Like, you know what? They're definitely not paying for Vegas. But at the moment, I'm putting them in the friend zone because they're not guaranteed to play finals at all. And they've got a lot of work just to sort of get themselves into a position where it's like, oh, we can actually get back to finals football. I'm definitely putting them in the friend zone at the moment because nothing really positive and nothing really negative. It's just,
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, we looked at we went through the first show of the year and we spoke about, like, they've got so many games at home. They're going to be a shoo-in for a top 8, top 4 comfortably this year. And we both had this either 1 or 2 in our ladders.
Yep.
And as you said, they are looking like the opposite. It's like the MCG is home to them and the Gabba is the foreign ground. And they've got so many games up there. If you mark down half of those as losses, they're still probably going to miss out potentially on an 8 spot. So I think where you got them is a fair analysis as to round 6 of where we are.
Yeah, I'm like I said, I'm really sort of looking forward to what they can serve up towards the back end of the season, but they're going to have to change a few things. And really, they're only one player out, which is Kitty Coleman, so it's a bit ugly as well too. Hey, quick shout out to Tori Williams, going to go through some health stuff over the next couple of days too. So a special shout out to someone who's been with the podcast and the show since day one. So special shout out. Had a quick chat to her today. And I wanted to give her one as well too. So hopefully, superstar, you are feeling better tomorrow. All right. One team that is doing great guns at the moment is the Carlton Football Club, sitting in a beautiful position towards the top of the AFL ladder. I only have one concern with them, and it's not actually a concern. There is an old line in football, Jdog, where they say you only play who's in front of you. And I think that they've only played one top 8 team throughout the entire season so far. So they've played a lot of the lower lights, but you can only beat who's in front of you. And yes, they did have a good win on the weekend against GWS at their home ground. You could say if Sam Taylor was playing, they would have won. But no, Carlton, been brilliant. They finished the year off awesome last year. They did make a prelim. They did fall asleep in that prelim after virtual halftime. Like, you know what? They're in a really great position, and they've set their start of their season up not just to make finals, but to get a massive top 4 position.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think everything that you've said is absolutely on the mark. And as David King said, they need to get back to their violent midfield style, and they certainly have. And over the weekend was just an example. They were tested, and then they absolutely came through. And I guess every I don't know what's the word to say. Every positive thing people are saying is absolutely on the money. I think Carlton could be our first contender into the don't book September holidays period.
They do not need to book any September holidays. For the first time in a long time, we are confident that they are going to be playing finals football. And not just playing finals football, Jdog, they are going to hopefully dominate finals football, because Melbourne with Carlton in the finals is something that we all aspire to see them lose and then all cry. But Melbourne is a better place with them playing finals as well too. So good luck to them. They've got a tough draw over the next 6 weeks. So will they be in the same position in 6 weeks' time when we come back and do the halfway mark? All right, Collingwood. Talk about a premiership hangover. What was that?
That was just me playing for the air horn.
Oh, jeez. Talk about a premiership hangover. This mob he actually scared the crap out of me. Geez, they were woeful the first month of footy, weren't they? But the last couple of weeks have been very, very good. They were sensational against your mob on the weekend. You saw them firsthand. Your thoughts when you saw that? Was it the Collingwood of old?
It was the Collingwood of old. It was ruthless. It was efficient, and they bashed up on the Port Adelaide midfield.
And I know there's some Collingwood people watching right now. And I actually went from premiers to pretenders a number of weeks ago. They would have actually been in the friend zone. I don't think they would have been packing for Vegas a couple of weeks ago. But now they are absolutely flying. I do have a bit of a concern, though, and that is their older sort of realm, Pendlebury, Sidebottom, Howe, obviously Cox. If they start to, as the season gets on, start to feel that injury cloud start to come in, it might put a bit of a shadow over their chances of ending up top 4. At the moment, I don't see them finishing top 4, but I would definitely say at the moment, I'll be putting them, and I'm actually going to change this up. I think I'm going to be putting them in the hold at the moment.
Yeah, I agree.
I'll put them in the hold. The simple fact that they can book their September in. I just need to really, really see it. I think we'll find out over the next 6 weeks. All right. This one is going to be very contentious because I've had a few chats to a few Essendon supporters today over the last week or so, and they are massively bullish on what they have been seeing so far. Issue is that they've played one team in the top 8, and that's the Western Bulldogs, who are 8th, who they dominated last week. So don't get me wrong about that. But what I'm saying, Jdog, is with the Dons, is the Essendon edge real? Are we seeing the real Essendon over the last couple of weeks, or are we still not too sure what we are seeing? Is it a bit of a false economy?
I think we're seeing the real Essendon, and I think a lot of teams go through this phase where they're hot and they're cold. Some days they're great, some days they're shit, and I think it's down to purely a game style that isn't embedded in there yet. And I don't think they've got a style just yet, Essendon.
Yeah, well, they are in the top 8, so they're definitely not going to be in the friend zone. They have got a percentage of 92.7, so they're not scoring a lot, and they're getting scored again. So it's almost that when they win well, but if they lose, they get smashed. And so their defensive side of their game is I think the area that's definitely letting them down. I will say, Nick Martin, gun. Merritt, gun. Stringer, finally, I think we've been doing this podcast 7 years, and finally we can say Stringer is living up to what we expected. but it's still early days. And we've seen Essendon start like this previously and fall over in a complete heap towards the back end of the season. We've seen that year after year, layer after layer. So, Jdog, I've got an idea where I'm going to put them, but where in your eyes do you think that they need to go, the Essendon Bombers?
I'm going to say something really controversial here.
Yep.
I liken them a lot to Port Adelaide of the last couple of years.
Okay.
I think they beat the teams that they should beat, and I think they lose the teams once the pressure comes.
Alrighty. So basically,
for me, it's going to be a hold, I reckon.
You're a hold? Jeez.
I'm a hold.
I would have almost gone friend zone, but I think you're right that they do beat who they're supposed to beat, don't beat who they're not supposed to. So you've definitely got some merit on both of those there. All right. The Fremantle Dockers, crikey, talk about a team that started like Tarzan in the last few weeks have turned into Jane. They can't score. They've probably got one of the best defenses in the league. They are. I don't know what to see with them at the moment. They're just disappointing. They're just disappointing.
Where are they losing, Peps? Because they came out and they won 3 in a row. Now they've gone and lost 3 in a row. You'd argue that the last 3 have been a breakdown in the 2-minute drills, the final 2 minutes.
Yeah, but it's not just that, Jdog. They can't kick a score.
Yeah, they can't put a gap on a team to put them under scoreboard pressure.
No, they can't. And so how do you do? How do you expect to beat teams? And they should have won the game a couple of weeks ago against Carlton. They had that game on toast, and they just couldn't lock it out in front of goal and down the defensive side of things. They've also got Jai Miss hasn't fired so far this year. Tabernar hasn't done what we've expected. Jackson's been probably their best player with Sarong. Brayshaw's been great. Pearce has been awesome down back.
Fife's had a return to form in the midfield.
He's had a bit of a return to form. It's not the old Fife, but it's Fife. But the way I'm looking at it is like, well, I'm not too sure, mate. I'm really not too sure what to expect. And look, this is a team that should be playing finals, but at the moment, they're not convincing me that they're even going to make it. I'm putting them in the friend zone. Yeah,
I'm with you. We had them as the team under the biggest watch this year coming into the year. I think we both were pretty strong on that. And we both were proven very wrong at the start.
Yep. We were proven right as well too. Like the other thing is that the way that they started, we're like, oh, where's this come from? What's happened? And then sort of gone the complete other way, which is a little bit disappointing. So they've got time to make it up. But unfortunately, there's a team that's sitting beside them. Sorry, I'm doing a bit of a ghost face here, but the team that's sitting right beside them at the moment being the I'm just going to plug myself in because I'm about to colour out. But there's a team sitting right beside them, which is the West Coast Eagles, who are getting some form, and they look like they're playing better footy than the Fremantle Dockers. But hey, we're only 6 rounds in. Let's not throw the baby out with the bathwater. Let's not throw a cat on a hot tin roof because they usually land on all fours. And talk about a team that's landed on all fours. They're 6-0, haven't lost a game. Just when you think that they're going to completely fall over, they come out and just dominate again and again and again. We're talking about the Geelong Football Club. They're sitting on the top of the ladder. They've got the best percentage, and they just don't do anything wrong whatsoever. They frustrate the crap out of me, Jamie. Absolutely.
Hasn't this team made you look like a dickhead the last 5 years?
Well, I don't think I even put them in my 8.
I think you've literally written them off 6 of the 7 seasons, I reckon.
Yep, and I don't know how they do it, Jdog. Like they've got the Ozempic of the AFL teams where they lose, but it's only good stuff that comes out at the end. They just get better and better. You know, Holmes has got better. You've got Clark has been better. You've got Stengel's playing some awesome footy. Close is magnificent. Graham Myers. You know, you think when you got Hawkins on he's 35, 36, he's still going. Cameron is arguably the best player in the league. Tom Stewart knocks himself out, and they still win.
They pick up like Isaac Smith, rejuvenate his career for a few years.
They can rest Tui. They can just receive who they want. They can bring, they've got the Irishman. He comes along and just dominates.
Can I just
say it.
understand this, Peps? This is what I understand. Every year they have every year they have a bad year. The calls for Chris Scott's head come.
Yep.
As a non-grand final four consistent contender.
Yep.
I never understand the call. He isn't Chris Scott. Yes, we'll give him the first year premiership as a bit of a cheapie because the team was already singing by then.
Yep.
I think he is a masterful coach.
You know what it is? I think it comes down to the fact that he's been there so long and he rubs people up the wrong way. And I've called him a bit of a tool and a bit of a flog over the years, not to his face. But I'd love to have him at the D's.
Oh,
he just tells it how it is, and he just rejuvenates year after year. Where teams go up and down, them in Sydney, I would love to be a supporter of those two teams because you know what? There's one thing that's guaranteed there's two things that are guaranteed every year: Christmas, and you're not having holidays in September because you'll be going to the finals.
Yeah, book them in. They're in there,
mate, and we are booking them in. Something chronic right now.
Where are they? They're 6 wins, 13 wins get you a top 8 spot.
Yeah, they've still got 7 games to play at home.
Yeah.
All right. This is going to be an interesting one at the moment, Jdog. Gold Coast Suns, because they promise so much. And Dimmer's actually gone up there. I think he's made a difference. I think that he's willing to call the spade the spade. You're not good enough. You're not going to play. Brings the kids in. Unfortunately, they're a little bit like Essendon, where their good is really good, their bad is really bad. And if you go and play Gold Coast up in Gold Coast, you've got a pretty big chance you're going to lose that one. But you play them anywhere else, you've got a pretty big chance you're going to win. And I won't say they're disappointing. I think it's going to take time for them to gel. But I'd like to see them go either really shit, and we're used to it, don't get excited, or just blow it through the water. And I don't think blow it through the water will be in a couple of years' time. But they're playing games out longer. Usually their season's over by now. I know where I'm going to put him. I know where I'm going to put him because there's so much to like him. Jed Walter, love him. Absolutely love him. He is a beast. Yeah.
It's funny how you can see improvements.
Yep.
And then one game can just undo it all for you.
Exactly right. But not many people are going to beat Sydney in Sydney. But I think it was the way they lost.
Where are you? Because, look, I'm not saying it's going to be the case, but it still gives me the nervousness of the Suns that they've gone down the Stuart Dew route and now they're going to do the Dimmer route. Where under Stuart Dew, there were games where you're just like, holy shit, this team is just unstoppable. Like here they go. And then they have a game like the Sydney performance over the weekend and you're just like, oh, geez, they are still a long way from it sometimes.
Well, the way that I'm looking at it now is I reckon Stewie Dew let some things slide. I don't know, probably maybe standard slide a little bit. You're not going to get that with Dimmer. Oh, he will not let things slide. And if you're not performing, you're out.
So where do you have him?
I'm putting them as a hold.
Ooh.
I'm putting them as a hold.
Much higher than I would have thought.
Yeah. They're not packing for Vegas. They're playing better footy than Brisbane and better footy than Fremantle, I would say. They're nowhere near, but that could be in 6 weeks' time. Mate, they could be in the friend zone or they could be just completely bypassing that and start packing for Vegas. That's how bad or how good they could lock in a final spot in 6 weeks' time, Jdog. We could be sitting back and revisiting this and going, oh, we were completely wrong or it will be right. Yeah, they're a hold. There's so much to like about them. They're either going to stay there or they're going to drop off completely. But, hey, viewers, tell us what you think. Like, subscribe, ring the bell. All right. Don't know if we have to go into this team all that much because they have been dominant throughout the entire year so far. We know them as the Giants, the team with arguably the best theme song in the AFL. Only lost one game. That was on the weekend at Carlton. And let's be honest, they should have won that one. They let them back in. Just bad kicking in front of goal. Sort of stuffed that up. What more can you say about this mob? They've come in under Adam Kingsley, and they've got players that have just rejuvenated. Hogan is, I think if he isn't, he's second in the Coleman medal, just dominating.
Yep, Cogs is back.
Cogs is back. You know, they've got Cadman who's sitting in the wings. Whitfield's just doing what he does. Tommy Green rolling through. You've got Callum Brown down front. Like, where do you go? Kelly, the other, not great. Grace Kelly, number 22. He's just running through, destroying Sam Taylor, the best fullback in the league. They've got that many weapons that they just need to stay consistent and stay healthy. And they're a massive, not just top four, because they'll get a home final. And they're a massive chance to make a grand final this year.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think we have to talk about this mob too much. They're going straight to not having to tell their wives, don't book any holidays now. We are going to September action. All right, here we go. Hawks. I think we said a couple of weeks ago, who would you rather be, Hawthorn or North? I think we got the answer on the weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're only though, aren't they? Like, they're only Like, what can you say about Hawthorn? Not much, really, at this stage.
Not at the moment.
Are they living up to expectations or not?
Well, what did they win last year? 3 games?
No, more than that. They won
Did
last
they?
year.
I can't remember.
I'll tell you, I think they won.
It was less than 6 or 7.
I thought it was 8 games last year they won. I could be
Was
wrong.
it?
Yeah, I thought it was 8 last year. Let me tell you. 6, 7. They won 7 games last year.
7. Okay. Then
7 games with a percentage of 80.2. At the moment, they're sitting in the 2024 season, 1 win at 77. So they've gone backwards from scoring percentage, and they're probably a game behind. So they haven't improved. They've gone backwards.
do we see them picking up 6 more wins over the year?
No. No, I can't see them picking up 6 wins.
Well, in terms of being the obvious where they're going to go and they're packing for Vegas.
Oh, they're packing for Vegas.
But
they've got their Louis Vuittons, mate. They're going straight to Vegas.
Are they the most underwhelming?
No, there's another team that's been more underwhelming. Actually, 2 teams I'd say that have been more underwhelming than those 2.
Yeah, I mean, Hawks had a great win. They've got. I think it's a thing that you go through before you break through. You've got to have a crappy year with it all. Geelong did it before they ran on their 2-decade run. Yeah, Hawks not this year, but I think I still think the Hawks are in the right direction. Actually, no, I'm just replaying the games this year in my head. They're woeful.
Ginnivan's been a highlight. I think that's been a great choice, Ginnivan. More up forward has been brilliant as well too.
But they're no good, Peps.
But yeah, they're
defensively. They just leak.
They're poo.
Yeah, they're not great.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. I'd probably shit my hands and clap. Go to a Hawthorn game. All right. Here we go. My mob, the D's. All right. Interesting. They lost their first game to Sydney. In Sydney, they lost to Brisbane at the G a fortnight ago. Had a run of 4 wins in the middle. I would say this. Forward line is the issue. Simple as that. Midfield, no issue. Backline, no issue. They are trying to run the ball more. They are trying to slice and dice through the middle more. They've just got to get their forward line set up and just stop the stupidity. Pickett has to stop the stupidity in terms of just getting rubbed out for the little things like that. I'm not worried. The next month is going to be challenging. After Richmond, they've got Geelong, they've got Carlton, Essendon coming up. So there's going to be some challenging games in there. But if you told me we'd be 4-2 after looking at the schedule at the start of the season, I was thinking maybe 2-4, 3-3 at the most. So I think we're in a good spot. and I know where I'm going to put them, but I want to ask you for your opinion first.
I don't see them missing, so I think September holidays don't book those if you are a Melbourne supporter. Don't go to the slopes.
Yep. But out of those 4 teams at the top, right, I would have them like last in that ranking. If that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I think for me they are.
They'll play finals.
They're in the Collingwood status for me.
Yeah, they'll play finals, but they just need to get a few things right. And that forward line mix, I think it will come together towards the back end of the season. But I just need to see it. And I can't say anything. I can't say anything more than Max Gawn is a freak. Best ruckman in the league. If anybody wants to have a shot at me and say he's not, bring it on. We'll double duke it out. Do not care. He's an absolute star and has probably kept Melbourne in 2 out of the 6 games they've played this year, outside the first one where he got smashed by Grundy. But outside of that, he has been immense so far this year. And obviously, the Lever, May, Petrarca, Oliver's been pretty good as well too. So he's my
knock on them. He's my knock on them.
Yeah, go for it.
Western Bulldogs, Hawthorn, us, Port Adelaide, which I don't think we're probably around where you are anyway.
Yep.
And Crows. They're your wins.
Yeah, true. So yours was, well,
I'm not saying ours is any better.
No. But yours, you at your ground, and then a week later, Adelaide. I'd take those 2, but you can't really read much into it because then you see what Adelaide do against Essendon the week before.
That's the reason why
the Doggies had a great win. We took them on. We beat them. One of Andy Bridge said to me perfectly, he goes, Peps, you can only play who's in front of you. And we agree. We've got Richmond this week. Should take that one out. And then we've got Geelong the week after that. So that's when we'll really start to see which teams are bringing the milkshakes to the yard and which aren't. Okay. I know one team that is there start packing for Vegas. We could probably have another category which says don't come back from Vegas. That would be, the mid-season trade period. We could almost trade them for maybe Werribee or Port Melbourne, maybe Southport. We could bring them in because North I'm really, really disappointed by North. I thought that they would be at least 3 or 4 wins better this season. They've gone completely backwards. If you get the ball past the midway point of the ground, otherwise known as the center, it's freewheeling. People are kicking bags against North right now. That is how, and outside of their young brigade, their older brigade are letting them down something chronic. They should be ashamed of themselves.
Bring some balance to this argument.
Yep.
North have had an absolute horror run. If you look at who they've had to play, it's been a horror run.
Yes, it has.
It's been Freo, Carlton, Lions, Cats, and then Hawthorn, which is obviously the 2 teams that had.
There's only 2 of those teams who are in the top 8.
But at that point, though, they played Freo and Freo was still in the top 8.
Yep. Yeah. Okay.
So they have had a tough.
But they're losing. Run. They're losing by an average of 50 points each game.
Yeah, no, I'm not saying that's not. I'm just saying that's to North. They've had a tougher run than my team, tougher on your team.
Yeah. And you know what? It's only going to get tougher. The thing with North, though, is they just don't have a back line. They lost Ben Mackay last year at a free agency, which is perfect. You can go ahead and do so. But they just have been absolutely smashed from pillar to post.
Yeah.
And I can't. When the mid-season draft comes up, they need to just find the best backman in any league and just bring him straight in.
Yeah.
Regardless who it is. There's only one place that we can put this mob, unfortunately, and that's start packing for Vegas at the end. They should leave first and come back last.
just stay off the WhatsApp.
Just stay off the WhatsApp. Just stay off the WhatsApp, Brisbane style. All right.
Or sign out. Sign out of the WhatsApp on your partner's device.
Just don't use WhatsApp. Just Telegram. Telegram's a lot easier. All right. Now, St Kilda. Shit Kilda after what we saw last week. This is, I said there were 2 teams that have just been really disappointing so far this year. This is the other one. I had high hopes for them looking into the start of the preseason. They looked absolutely cherry ripe. And I don't know what the hell has happened. On the weekend, they got absolutely towed up, I think. And then the week before that, they got towed up. And I'm just really, I don't know what's going on with them. I don't know what they stand for. I've got a massive knock on the King brothers.
You finally come around to my argument.
Yeah, Ben, I think's better, but Max, for a bloke who's 6'7", he should be just throwing that knee and just marking everything. And it's if he doesn't get it in the first 10 minutes, just you're better off subbing him out because he won't go near. Too injury prone. Snags Higgins can only do so much. Philippou, I don't know where he's going. I love Mitchie Owens. Zach Jones, is he going to be in your next team? Crouch has had a pretty good season from a St Kilda perspective. He was on the scrap heap, I think, at one stage, and he's been really good so far this year. Wilkie's still got a lot of things sitting on his back shoulder. They definitely miss Wood, Membry. I don't know. I'm not too sure what the bright sparks. They miss Henry, they miss Hill. Wangani Malera's been all right, but outside of that, Jdog, they're really disappointing. And from a St Kilda perspective, I don't know. I just don't know. I just don't know.
It's the standard issue with Ross the Boss coach teams. Defensively, pretty good. You get a pretty dour game in terms of locking down and just really making it a scrap. Obviously, the Western Bulldogs got to the outside of them pretty comfortably and just dominated through there. But there's just no firepower. There's no firepower for St Kilda.
But you know what it is also, J-Dog? They're 13th on the ladder, right?
Mm-hmm. 2 wins.
Yep. They have the worst percentage out of... They've got the worst percentage from 12th down.
Yeah, it's because they can't score.
They're not just a game behind. They're a game and percentage. They just don't score.
Yeah.
It is dour Ross. I think they were playing better footy last year. I'm not saying they should start packing for Vegas, but dudes, they're going in the friend zone. Massive friend zone because I'm not brave enough to put them into the finals at all. And I'm not confident to say that they're going to make it, which is massively disappointing because I think I might have had them in.
Well, here's just for consistency, right? Since the Collingwood game, they've scored 67 points, 79 points, and 64 points.
You're not going to win. You're not going to win kicking 10 goals a game at all. Not going to happen at all, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Not at all. All right, big boy. There's not much really to talk about it. We were talking about teams that are just dominating. I'm just going to move them straight up there because they should be sitting in second spot on the grid. Sydney, absolutely cracking start to the season. Who would have thought Grundy going up there has been massive for them? James Jordan coming up from the Ds has been massive for them as well too. They've got a forward line that's sexy. Isaac Heaney, I think, is finally starting to deliver. I know he's probably got the best rig in the AFL, but now he's playing like a footballer who deserves to. I know he deserved to be there, but he's just dominating out of the middle. When Papley's getting some spunk about him, Armity's getting some spunk about him. They're an awesome team to watch. And they showed Gold Coast on the weekend what a real, diligent, hard-working, structured, drilled football team has to play with. They're probably the best kicking team in the league. They are, I'll tell you, those two City teams, I never thought we'd say this. At the moment, they are looking like they are going to be the grand finalists. But any of those top four, that's almost, I reckon, what the top four will be at the end of the season. That is how good they are going at the moment. They just keep getting better and better. And just like Geelong, Sydney supporters do not book holidays at all when it comes to September. They are just gorgeous. And John Longmire, he'll be up there for another 30 years, and they'll still keep making finals year after year after year.
Yeah, and it's amazing how, like, their one loss they had this year was by less than a goal against Richmond, which is a complete shock loss. If it wasn't for that, they're the same as the Cats. They're on top. They'd be comfortably up there. And what's incredible about Sydney Swans is the fact that they get a lot of hype, but if they were a Melbourne team doing what they've done for the last 2 decades, yeah,
exactly right. But I think they've got that South Melbourne connection, and we appreciate it. We appreciate Sydney.
But they're out of the bubble, which means that they can always just focus on what they've got to focus on, and they're not getting dragged into interviews and all these things.
Yep, exactly right. Exactly right. They are just amazing to watch. And I actually really like watching them play footy too. So whenever there's a Sydney game, I love to smack it onto a few of the boys, Aussie and Louis Izzy Folau Carranza, massive Sydney blokes, massive Sydney supporters, and they have not stopped talking about them all year on the chat ski as well too. All right. It's actually nice to say about this team being the West Coast Eagles. Their last couple of weeks have been magnificent. And funny enough, I picked them to win the last couple of weeks as well too. It just goes to show, Jdog, I know Harley Reid is the messiah over there, but Elliot Yeo's return to form and a fit Elliot Yeo has made a massive difference there. Kelly has been sensational as well. And there's just so much to really admire that they're having a crack. Like, they're having a really good crack, and they're playing better football than Freo. They're playing better footy than Adelaide, Hawthorn, and North. They're sitting 14th on the ladder, and I know that's you can only play who's in front of you, but they only won 3 games last year.
Yes.
2 games. Three games.
3 games.
3 games last year. They're already two down. I love it. I really like it.
Harley Reid. That's it. There's 2 words.
Freak Zoid.
Yep.
His game on the weekend.
He's the Paddy Cripps when Paddy Cripps went to Carlton and just basically carried them.
No, he is Judd-like. I know they've been saying he's Judd-like. He is Judd-like. The way
in terms of like this decade, Paddy Cripps is the one who went to Carlton.
He couldn't even tie Harley Reid's shoelaces, mate. Paddy Cripps is not that burst-like type player. There was one on the weekend where he was on the ground, picked the ball up and just burst through the middle, and I'm just like, taking marks. He's just doing everything. He is a man-child, manhandling Fife.
Yeah.
He is awesome. And North, you're idiots for winning that last game.
Yeah.
You're sitting back now going, shit, I know you got McKercher and Dersma, but he would have been dragging. He's just a freak. But I know we can say all of that, but they are still packing for Vegas.
Yeah.
But if they keep serving up games like they have on the last couple of weeks, they're going to challenge some teams, and they're going to be rising up that ladder. They could almost be in the friend zone at one stage. Like, they're not going to make finals, but they're not going to be the worst in it.
No.
I really like Jack Darling. He's almost done. She's almost done. So they've got to move on. Interesting point. Last year, Jakey Grant, who was our journey to the draft, played in the Vic Country team with Harley Reid and reckons he is an absolute cracking bloke as well too. So he's not a knob. He is an actual pretty genuine down-to-earth bloke too. So hopefully it hasn't gone to his head. But when he's going to be getting paid $1 million plus in a couple of years' time, or $2 million plus, or whatever it is, then it can go to your head, because it'll be going to mine.
And Harley Reid, lock it in for your riser.
Put your bank balance on it, as my mate as Bucko would say, Heathy Buxton would say, put your house on it, boys.
Yeah, even at $1.25, you're still going to get a return.
Put 10 grand on it. At $1.25, you're going to get how much?
I'm not good at maths.
Yeah, no, fuck it. All right, 2 teams to go. Western Bulldogs, my friend. Jeez. Jdog, where do we put the Western Bulldogs? Because you see what they do on the weekend, and then they have complete mares against St Kilda. Okay, how does it not against St Kilda, but they have complete mares
against Essendon.
I don't know. Sorry, against Essendon.
Yeah.
Where do we rank the doggies right now? Where are they? Where are they? I'd love if there's the doggy supporters on the chat as well too. Tell us what you think.
I reckon they're somewhere between friend zone and hold. I think the lock in September don't lock in September holidays is too good.
Not at all. Not at all.
It's too good.
See, but
they're not bad. They lost to Geelong by less than a goal.
Well, they lost to the D's. They lost to they beat the Suns. They beat the Eagles. They lost to Geelong by a kick, and they should have actually won that game, to be honest. They had a shocker against
Bombers.
Shocker against the Bombers, and then they've smashed. So you know where I'm putting them? I thought I was going to put them in the friend zone, but just having a look at that sort of setup, I think they're going to be going into a hold. I think they are a hold.
Yeah.
They could burst themselves if they have a good run. They got Freo this week. They've actually got a good run. They got Freo, they got Hawthorn, Richmond. So they should win the next 3. They could be pushing top 4. And they probably deserve to be. They probably should be top 4 as well.
And this is the magic number, everyone. 13. 13 wins is the magic number.
Yep.
So you've got to ask yourself, with these teams, can you see them eking out 13 wins?
Oh, I think
that's around the mark.
What are they sitting on at the moment, Jdog? 3. They'll get another 3 in the next 3 weeks. So they only have to get 7 in the last 13 rounds.
Yeah.
They're in a good spot. They're in a good spot. All right, big boy. We got one last team. You know whose team that is, don't you? Your boys. Port Adelaide. All right. Interesting. You've got a midfield that most teams would dream about. You got a back line that I think most people would love to have, especially those twin towers of 2 times Aliradlia and Rasava Radagalia or Radaga era. You've got Dicko down in the forward line when he plays, but you still can't get it together. And you've still got that coach of Kenny Hinkley. You were 5 goals up on the weekend against Collingwood. I'm sending you text messages going, Jdog, how good is this? And you're like, hey! And then I didn't respond when I saw the rest of the result. And your run, you've only played one team in the top 8.
Correct.
Where do you put yourself, mate?
I am putting us in. I think we're in the league of the Melbourne Collingwood area. Yeah. I think Collingwood are probably better than both our teams, to be honest with you. I think they're probably a bit higher, but just where they are at the moment.
Remember, it's at the moment. So you're just putting them in a hold perspective at the moment?
Yeah, no, I'm probably going to put it September still. I still think we're still 4-2. Like, that's a pretty good spot to be.
So you're there, but you're probably towards the back end like us.
Yeah, I think so. And I think it's the same stuff. I think we're similar to Essendon. We beat the teams that we need to beat to keep us in the 8. But the problem is we wilt like spinach in a dish when it comes to actually having pressure from the big boys. So on the weekend, Collingwood just absolutely brought the flame to us, and we absolutely wilted.
Totally accept that. Even just having a look at that. So if you have a look at this, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, this is our round 6 tier list. So don't book September holidays Geelong, Sydney, Carlton, GWS, Melbourne, and the Port Adelaide Power. Hold, obviously in a Braveheart accent, is Collingwood, Essendon, Gold Coast, and the Western Bulldogs. In the friend zone at the moment, because they're not doing anything, is the Lions, Fremantle, and St Kilda. And start packing for Vegas, Adelaide, Hawthorn, North Melbourne, and the West Coast Eagles. What do you think, viewers, listeners? Are we right? Are we wrong? Where do we get it right? Where do we get it wrong? Leave a comment for us in the chat below. We would love to hear your opinion on our quarterway of the season in 2024. Hold on. Yes.
We're missing one.
Who?
Richmond.
Richmond? Are they not there?
I don't see Richmond.
Why aren't they on my list? They should be there. Richmond. Where is Richmond?
Oh, you've hidden them.
Disappeared. They should
I was going to say we have just recreated the ladder.
That Richmond should be there. I didn't even pick it up. All right then. Well, I've got to have to find where Richmond went because they were on my list. They can start packing for Vegas.
I feel that's accurate. One win.
They've had one win. They're going through a rebuild. They're going to lose Baker at the end of the year. Dusty's gone. Pack for Vegas, boys and girls. There's not really much more we can do about that. Uzo's been given a bit of a, I won't say a dud, but he's just got the tail end of a great dynasty, which was what the Richmond Tigers were.
He's been sold a pup, Peps. Let's be honest.
I think he knew what he was going to get in for. My concern is that
did he? Brendan Gale leaving, all of that, all of the back office that Dimmer had for the last 10 years support, and they've all just basically dropped away now.
Yeah, it's a bit. Yeah, but it tends to happen. It does tend to happen when you win 3 flags in 4 years. Your players get old.
COVID.
It's a shame because I reckon he's a good coach. He just needs to have some opportunity to get some guns. Also, not having Lynch there makes a massive difference. Bolter's out as well too. So when you've got your best forward and virtually your best backman outside of Loston not playing, but stranger things have happened towards the middle and later stages, and we will get the Richmond icon there. But they are packing for Vegas, ladies and gentlemen. Righty-o. So that's been done, Jdog. I reckon that was a nice little exercise to sort of put things in perspective for the 2024 round 0 to 6 breakdown. 1 week at a time in terms of games this week. It is going to be awesome this week. Anzac Eve, Melbourne and Richmond. I won't say for the game, but for the spectacle. Anybody who's been to the Anzac Eve game when it's total silence, 90,000 there, not a light on in terms of the big boys, but everybody's got their phones out. It's just a sight to behold with the last post. We know Anzac Day is going to be an absolute belter as well too. GWS versus the Lions, I don't really see much in that. Your Mob versus St Kilda, that's going to be a nice little sort of, you need to win. Simple as that, and so does St Kilda. So we'll see where that goes. Geelong versus the Blues at the MCG on Saturday twilight. Like
that.
Tell the wife, tell everybody, tell the husband you're not going to be doing anything whatsoever. You're going to be strapping yourselves in to watch that one. And if the Blues are the real deal, that is a game that they're going to have to win. And they've got a big chance of it because Tom Stewart is not going to be playing due to concussion. And then that's about it.
That's it for mine.
That's basically it. So they've probably got half the games are good, and the other half of games, go watch a movie, go paint some dry. Shit in your hands and clap for all I care. You're going to do so much better than watching some of these games rolling around.
Watch Ricky Stanicki.
Ricky Stanicki.
Watch Dune 2.
Watch Rebel Moon Part 2. Actually, don't watch
There's lots out there.
Dark Side of the Ring, beautiful documentary series. Also the massive match at AEW Dynasty today between Brian Danielson and Will Ospreay, off the charts on YouTube. Check that one out as well. But Jdog, there has been a request over the last couple of weeks before we wrap this one up for the Fantail to return.
Yes.
Is the Fantail back?
I thought I saw a rogue. I did.
He's got the Fantail. So if you don't know what the Fantail is, it's as simple as this. Jdog's going to read it out in the comments below. Answer, and the first person to get it right gets a date with Destiny.
I will.
6 foot
I will
long.
also, Peps.
Yes.
We need to once again. Who makes Fantails? Allen's.
We need to sponsor
Allen's. Get on board. Footy Tails is where it's at. If you start putting on good footy ones, because let's face it, the quality of Fantails has gone down in terms of their quiz questions.
Footy Tails would go off, wouldn't it? Would you agree? Footy Tails.
100%. But make them good. Make them good.
It's got to be everybody. Like, did you know the most goals kicked in the game was Fred Fanning?
Something like that.
Round 18.
Although, to be fair, I'd probably want it to be like since the 90s or something. That'd be better.
Just
not back on the day.
Bit of everything. All right, let's go.
All right. Who am I? Born on 29th of April, 1954 in New York and named Jerome. This comedian is one of the most famous of his generation. He found his fame as a stand-up comedian where he excelled in observational humor and satire, using his everyday life and experience as inspiration, especially those awkward social encounters. He's a Superman fan, starring alongside him in a series of television commercials, including the character of his long-running sitcom series that carries this star's own name.
Who am I?
That's the question. Who am I?
For the first time in a long time, I've got no idea, Jdog.
I think if I said you know who it is.
No, don't say who it is. In the chat, tell us who is the fantail for this week. Right, big boy. That's a cracking week. A bit of a different week, but we're going to be doing this every week now every 6 weeks between now and the end of the season. So they're the ranking. We'll get Richmond back. That's a really nice setup. Like I said, if you agree, let us know. If you don't, tell us where we got it wrong. But more importantly, thank you for everybody who's tuned in live on YouTube, live on Facebook, and everybody listening to this on all podcast channels. I'm Chris Pepper. He's Jamie Wallace. This is Lace Out, and big boy, all the way down in Torquay. How do you want your footy?
I want it to lace out, Peps.
Have a great week.
See you, listeners. Love you.